The Lenovo Tab M10 is a lower middle class tablet with a 10-inch Full HD screen and almost pure Android Oreo. Its internal hardware is almost identical to the much pricier Samsung Galaxy Tab A10.5 and Lenovo Tab P10, but this one has fewer features. However, it is much cheaper with a price tag of just under $200. Is it worth it? I'm NJ for mynexttablet.com, and that's what you will find out in my Lenovo Tab M10 review. One quick note at the beginning: in a couple of countries including the US and most of Europe, Lenovo is also offering a Lenovo Smart Tab M10. Both tablets actually are the same tablet. However, the Smart Tab M10 comes with built-in Amazon Alexa and a speaker dock. It costs around $200 as well. Usually you can get the normal Tab M10 for a little bit less now. Alright, let's start this Lenovo Tab M10 review. You can get the M10 in black and white. As you might expect at this price point, it features a full plastic body. While it does look quite nice and similar to the pricier Lenovo Tab P10, that one is made of metal and glass. Well, the Tab M10 is made of plastic but seems to be well built. It's 8.1mm thin and weighs 480 grams. Above the screen we get a 2-megapixel front-facing camera and a status LED. On the right side there's a standard headphone jack and a USB-C 2.0 port. Underneath sits a microSD card slot. All the way on the bottom is the connector for a dock, and on the left side are the power button and volume controls. The tablet has a 5-megapixel camera on the back. Sadly, both cameras are not that great. That's not unusual in this price class, although in good lighting conditions the quality is fine for snapshots and maybe even video chats, but you can't make good photos with it. Two speakers are placed right above the screen and are angled towards the front, which is nice. I'd say the sound quality itself of those stereo speakers is acceptable, but not really good. A real bass is missing and it sounds a little bit flat. The Lenovo Tab M10 has a 10.1-inch screen with an aspect ratio of 16:10. It is a Full HD screen with a resolution of 1920x1200. Like always, I think a Full HD resolution is totally fine on 10 inches, and that is the case here too. Text and photos look sharp enough. It is an IPS panel with wide viewing angles. Color reproduction and contrast are good, and that goes for its brightness too. It is bright enough to use inside and outside in the shadows, however it's way too dark to use under direct sunlight. The Tab P10 is a bit brighter. Lenovo is shipping the Tab M10 with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 450 octa-core processor. Depending on the version, you can get it with 2GB or 3GB of RAM. You can also choose between 16GB or 32GB of internal storage. If you want, you can also get it with LTE built in. My review unit is the cheapest one with 2GB of RAM and a 16GB storage. Out of the box you can just use over 8GB out of those 16. We've seen the Qualcomm Snapdragon 450 in tablets like the Lenovo Tab P10 and Samsung Galaxy Tab A10.5, which I reviewed already. Both are a bit pricier. Since all three tablets have the same processor, benchmark results are almost identical. In Geekbench 4 it gets around 770 and 3890 points. The Tab M10 scores around 70,700 points in Antutu. I should also mention that the Huawei MediaPad T5 gets a bit better results. That one is a direct competitor with similar features and prices. Another thing to note is that the performance is not much better than the one from the older Lenovo Tab 410 Plus, so if you own that one already, it's probably not worth it to upgrade. During everyday use the performance is good enough for most tasks. I've had no issues with the operating system itself, and apps like Chrome, YouTube and Word. They all run very smoothly. Another app I tried is Adobe Lightroom. While it does work, it's not as smooth as with pricier tablets. Well, that's to be expected. I also noticed that when switching between several apps, it can happen that some apps get closed in the background. That's probably due to the 2GB of RAM of my review unit. While that is totally normal in this price range, it is something to note if you are used to high-end smartphones with much more RAM. If you want to do a lot of multitasking, you probably should go for the one with 3GB. The performance of the Lenovo Tab M10 is good enough for gaming, especially for simpler games. For example, Shadow of Death runs very nicely. Other games like Assassin's Creed Rebellion work without any heavy stuttering as well. The game runs pretty well on here. Another game I tried is PUBG Mobile, and yes, even that one is playable at lowest graphics settings. However, especially when the setting is set to balanced, I noticed some minor stuttering while fighting. That's what I experienced with the ego shooter Shadowgun Legends as well. So if you want, you certainly can play games with the Lenovo Tab M10, and that includes more demanding games. However, it's not a perfect gaming tablet. In case you're into graphic intensive games, you probably will have to play those at lower settings. Let's get to its software. That is one of the major highlights of the Lenovo Tab M10. Out of the box, it is running Android 8.1 Oreo. I'm not sure if it will ever get an update to Android 9 Pie. Since it did get one software update while I've been reviewing it, Lenovo apparently is improving the software even after its release. That's a good sign. I really like that Lenovo did not customize Android Oreo that much. In fact, we're getting kind of vanilla Android here, at least almost, and that is awesome. Pretty much all direct competitors like Huawei, Samsung and Amazon use heavy UIs, and those can seem overloaded. Again, here we kind of get vanilla Android. Some special features do exist though. For example, in the settings you can specify whether you would like to use the app drawer or not. Another feature you can turn on is tap to wake. That's quite useful since we don't get a fingerprint scanner. An interesting feature is the productivity mode. That is kind of a desktop mode. Once you turn it on, you get a taskbar at the bottom with apps, and the navigation buttons slide to the right side. That kind of looks like a desktop operating system, and it's a bit easier to use with keyboard and mouse. But it's not as complex as Samsung DeX. It's quite simple, and I don't think I ever really will use it. Using the multi-user mode, you can also set up an account for children and activate the kids mode. Since I don't have any kids, I'm not sure if I can really evaluate how good it is. I think a lot of kids will be totally fine with standard Android, right? Anyway, the kids mode does work, but also features a lot of annoying ads. On the positive side, Lenovo is shipping it with very few pre-installed apps. We get some standard ones and the ones from Google and Skype and Outlook from Microsoft. You can adjust the sound using a Dolby Atmos app, and Netflix is pre-installed too. Since we're talking about Netflix, the Lenovo Tab M10 does not support the necessary DRM standards to play Netflix in HD. You can watch it in standard definition only. Tablets like the Samsung Galaxy Tab A10.5 and Lenovo Tab P10 have the same issue. With that being said, the Huawei MediaPad T5 can play Netflix in HD. The Lenovo Tab M10 features a battery with a capacity of 4850 mAh. In my standard battery test, that lasted for a runtime of just over 8 hours. For this test, I'm always looping the same HD video at medium brightness and turned on Wi-Fi. Sadly, those 8 hours are pretty weak. As you can see in my comparison chart, all direct competitors get better results. If you use the Tab M10 occasionally or just at night before sleep, I don't think you'll have to charge it more often than every 2 days or so. It is not losing much energy while in standby, but still, the battery life is far from ideal. Alright, that's my Lenovo Tab M10 review. Is it a good tablet? Considering its price, the build quality, its display and performance are good. The screen features a full HD resolution and the performance is good enough for most apps. I really like that we are getting almost pure Android here. That is something no direct competitors offering. On the negative side, the battery life is pretty short, and it's also disappointing that you cannot watch Netflix in HD. Still, I think the overall value is not bad, especially when you can get it at under $200 US. I can recommend it if you don't want to spend a lot of money and want a tablet with almost vanilla Android. Again, that's a major highlight and something no direct competitors offering. But let's take a look at a couple of alternatives. A very direct competitor is the Huawei MediaPad T5, with similar features and a similar price. The Huawei tablet features a metal back and a bit better performance, and yes, even better battery life. However, the UI is heavily customized and seems overloaded at times. You can get similar hardware but additional features with the Lenovo Tab P10. While the processor is the same, it has more RAM and a brighter screen. The Tab P10 also features 4 good speakers and a fingerprint scanner. Its battery life lasts longer and the body feels higher end. Depending on the deal, it usually costs around $100 more. A cheaper alternative could be the Amazon Fire G10. It depends on the deals Amazon is running. That one offers a longer battery life and more storage out of the box. However, it feels a bit cheaper and the performance can be a bit weaker depending on what you're doing. Again, the interface is heavily customized here and you even have to install the Play Store yourself. I can recommend it if you can get it at a much cheaper price. Otherwise, the Lenovo Tab M10 is better suited for most, I think. Alright, that's my Lenovo Tab M10 review. If you have any questions, please feel free to write me down below. And subscribe to this channel. I'm NJ for mynexttablet.com and I pretty much review all tablets that are released. Thanks for watching.